Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here today with Sigvald and the Warriors of Chaos going to be taking on the Empire. So let's get straight to it. Sigvald here with the Mirror Guard. We've got 3 units of other Chaos Warriors, some Marauders as well, 3 throwing axes, triple Manticore, which I don't think is technically tournament legal, but you know, this is quick battle, so we're having some fun here just to test it out. We've got 2 Ferals and a Sorcerer on a Manticore. For the Empire, we've got a force of Pistoliers here, very nice, and some War Wagons in support. So, War Wagons did recently get a cost reduction, so we'll see how they perform here. They're going to be providing some nice Overwatch fire there. Karl Franz leading the way. If we have a look at the rest of the ground force here, we've got a Steam Tank with Gotrek protecting, Sigmar's Sons with some Spears, and a Life Mage up in the air. So a relatively straightforward build here, but yeah, Pistoliers and the Wagons doing some really good skirmishing. Pistoliers, of course, having 2 shots per volley with 2 AP each, can do some really good damage, even to armored targets. Manticores, though, only 45 armor, are pretty light. Only 80 on the Shadows is pretty decent, but still will take quite a bit of damage from those Pistoliers. I'm trying to keep my Marauder Horsemen in reserve as much as possible because I see this Steam Tank and Karl here, and I know I'm going to need their armor-piercing axes to do damage to them. So Karl dives in for a risky dive here. We're going to fill him with some throwing axes there. Meanwhile, the Pistoliers and Wagons doing some good skirmishing, really doing some good damage to those Marauders. But at the end of the day, they are just Marauders. Looks like they're also focus firing on the axes here as well, and you'll note that the throwing axes specifically for the Marauder Horsemen do have shields, so they do have a bit of a missile block chance, making them slightly better in a counter skirmish than their Javelin counterparts, although they are slightly more expensive. But yeah, you can see Karl getting pushed back by the enfeebling foe there. I'm going to drop these Manticores down to try and get a hold of these War Wagons. This is ultimately a mistake. You should just leave these War Wagons alone, really. They're not going to do that much damage over the course of the battle. And you do run the risk of this happening. You see here, one of my Manticores is able to get away, but this other Manticore gets trapped here by the Steam Tank, the Rock, the War Wagons, and everything. So I end up getting it enraged here, which is always tough. And because of its low leadership, it also just straight up routes there as well. So a really unfortunate situation for me. I'm going to basically lose that Manticore for free, with it having done almost no damage. So that's pretty rough, but we're going to push forward here, get these Marauders fighting. We've got the Chaos Warriors getting in the combat as well. Oh man, good steam gun shot though across the way. We're going to just continue to throw in axes here. Gotrek moves in to start to slay the Weird Spawn, which is a great target for him. They're going to come in here and sunder Franz's armor, so he will take a bit more damage from Sigvald. Sigvald trying to push his way past the Uglies here. And I'm quite a bit blobbed up here. You can see 3 units all blobbed up on this one infantry unit, so a pretty big mistake by me. I definitely should have cut one of these Chaos Warriors up and around to come support this Marauder out on the flank here. Maybe move these Marauders to engage the Spears. But yeah, I'm pushing these Sorcerer and this other Manticore into the backline to maybe try and get in on these War Wagons, but this is just too much volume of fire right now, and you can see I'm taking a ton of damage on my Sorcerer. I'm going to throw a nice little Penumbral Pendulum there to do some damage to the Pistoliers. We did some pretty decent damage, but that would have been useful a lot earlier on in the battle, and unfortunately now my Sorcerer is going to get kind of chased off into the distance there by the Pistoliers. Meanwhile, Life Mage for the... or Jade Wizard, I guess I should say, for the Empire is continuing to heal here. You can see the terror has been an issue for my units, as a lot of them have been terrified away here. We're going to try and come back in, get some flank attacks here, continue to cycle charge with the Weird Spawn against the Steam Tank here. You can see once they do sunder the armor, I mean, it still has 160, so it's going to be just pretty tough to take down regardless, but the low melee defense certainly is helpful there. The War Wagon continuing to provide a little bit of Overwatch fire, not doing a ton of damage, but just consistent DPS to these Weird Spawn. You can see Gotrek's taken a ton of damage, though, and is pulled back from this area. I didn't really notice him that much, but the Manticore is going to land here. I was going to try and pull it back to maybe try and go snipe out that Mage, but then it actually enrages, goes back to fight Gotrek, which is exactly what I don't want happening. We've also got Karl Franz in here as well with the Steam Tank, so it's just tough all around day for the Manticores. You know, all 3 of them misplayed pretty badly by me here, but Gotrek and the Emperor definitely going to hold fast there. Gotrek getting some good healing from the Jade Wizard there as well. So he's going to be able to continue and fight. You can continue to fight, rather. You can see I'm running behind a little bit on the balance of power, but we are starting to push forward, and these throwing axes have been able to do consistent damage to Karl Franz on the Steam Tank. Unfortunately, just with the healing of that Life Mage, because I haven't been able to take him out, he's been able to just continue to sustain them. Empire Infantry is all just about gone. We've been able to cut through most of them without too much issue, but these War Wagons still on station. The Pistoliers also in the distance, just chased off my Sorcerer there, so a pretty rough situation all around. But yeah, Steam Tank and Karl, especially with this multi-terror kind of armor-piercing situation, it's definitely a tough day for these poor Warriors of Chaos on foot here as they get run over and just generally charged and beat down. Gotrek, of course, as well, doing spinning head kicks and everything wherever he's at. So, oh, here he is. Oh man, looks like he's going to go mano-a-mano with Sigvald, and Sigvald with the proper support actually will do okay against Gotrek. Gotrek actually can put a pretty good hurt on him. It depends a lot on the RNG rolls at that point, because of course with the lack of armor, Sigvald's lack of AP isn't so much of an issue against Gotrek, and of course he has his own healing there as well. Oh man, that supporting Chaos Warrior just gets cut down there. The Chaos Warriors are going to try and come give Sigvald some help here. Unfortunately his Mirror Guard is long gone. But, oh man, looking quite good today as these two heroes duke it out. We're just about able to finish off Gotrek, but you can see I'm quickly approaching army losses here. We do manage to break up this front pretty well, and I do have some Marauder Horsemen left, but this massive flank of Pistoliers going to continue to come back. My Feral Manticore just now remembered, unfortunately not going to be able to make it past those Pistoliers, just gets easily seen off there. And yeah, a bit of a taste of my own medicine on this battle, I suppose, but that's what I get for making excellent Empire content and teaching you all how to use them. I don't know if this guy actually watches my content at all, but this is a very good Empire army. I mean, the War Wagons might seem like a bit of a meme here, but if in case of a player like me who's mistake-prone and actually chooses to dive them like that, you know, you can kind of force your opponent into some weird situations because they are so tanky. They have high mass. They're sort of a weird skirmish unit to try and pin down, especially with single entity models. Like, you really need something like a Monstrous Infantry or Cav or like even Hounds to be able to catch them, and I really think what this army was lacking was Hounds. I ended up getting my infantry blobbed up quite a bit there, so honestly just cutting a couple of these Chaos Warriors, even like one Chaos Warrior, one Marauder, to bring some poison Warhounds, get up and around the flanks, maybe chase off these Pistoliers, maybe poison the War Wagons so they can be caught more easily. I think definitely would have been helpful. Obviously, the Triple Manticore not technically tournament legal, so you could cut the Shadow Sorcerer down to just a horse and then just bring, you know, some more Hounds in that way as well. It's going a little bit wider, I think, to be able to get that Empire skirmish. Because ultimately, I mean, 31 kills and an XP Chevron for a War Wagon's not bad. I mean, of course, the Steam Tank at 85 and an XP Chevron as well. Gotrek coming in at 11, Karl Franz with 59. The Pistoliers, though, taking out the Manticores was definitely a big play. And just having more fast-moving units to kind of contest that skirmish game definitely would have helped me to be able to keep these Manticores a little bit safer, use them to come in, and kind of my plan was to try an enfeebling foe and catch Karl in the air with the 3 Manticores. Because the 3 of them together all fighting him, you know, in the right circumstances can take him down. But just ended up not being able to make it happen. I am a big fan of the Feral Manticores here, just in general. But yeah, ended up being a bit of a tough battle. So well played to my opponent. I can't see his name because it's in the non-Latin alphabet, I'm assuming. But very well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. I know it's, yeah, it's an interesting build. I mean, Gotrek with a build like this does synergize very well because he can kind of stand next to the Steam Tank and sort of guard it from big threats. You know, if big threats come after Gotrek, they're going to get rear charged by Karl. If Karl, you know, gets into trouble, then potentially if he's nearby with Gotrek, then Gotrek can come, you know, lend a helping hand, if you will. So yeah, I actually like this Empire build quite a bit. The War Wagons are a little bit of a weird one. I still think that, let me just talk about more about them. I still think they need some buffs. They're in a pretty decent place just because, like I said, they're sort of a tanky skirmish unit, which is pretty interesting, but they're not really great as chariots. You can sometimes kind of use them as chariots in certain situations, but it's really not wildly useful. But if we take a look here, I honestly think just upping the missile damage just a hair would let these guys shine a bit more. I mean, individually, their missile damage is a little bit misleading because there are actually, what is it? There's 9 guys per unit model, or sorry, 6 guys per unit model, and there's 3 unit models, so there's actually 18 guys in total. And so, you know, it's significantly less volume of fire than Outriders, which are 45 guys in total, right, with the same missile damage. And they also go through ammunition quite a bit faster. I mean, granted, they have a ton of ammunition, of course, because they're riding in the wagon, so that really ends up not being an issue, but the DPS is a little bit of an issue. I guess just because they have so much ammunition, they can kind of provide sustained fire over the course of a battle. But even still, just maybe giving them a tiny bit more missile damage to compensate for the fact that they have less total volume of fire from the Outriders would actually help them. I've talked a little bit about this before, but like, if you compare them to other missile chariots, like a pretty good example is the Dark Elves. What am I looking for? Here we go. I mean, granted, this is much more expensive and does armor piercing and melee much better as a chariot, but if you look at the missile damage here, it just does, like, more missile damage, obviously, than, say, like Dark Riders or something, so I really just think increasing the missile damage on this ever so slightly could help a tad in terms of usefulness. But yeah, as it is, they're okay. In a build like that, you can definitely make them work, but I'm not going to say only if your opponent makes mistakes, but definitely helps if they do. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.